Hello everybody and welcome back to another video by Funlearn Tutorials. So in today's video I'm going to be introducing something called the STATA software to you, not the folder. So this is when you open the STATA software, this is what opens up, and there are essentially five parts of the screen. So you have the review section, which is this column that you have on the left hand side. Then you have a command section at the bottom of the screen. Then you have the variables and you have the properties of the variables, and this is essentially the place where you get all the results from your data set. So what I would like to show you first is a little bit of analysis to tell you how to use these. So first what you can do is, there are a couple of windows here, there are a couple of buttons here, sorry. So you have open, save, print results, log. Okay, so first thing that we need to remember is, whenever we start a STATA work, there are a couple of things that we need to keep in mind, and essentially we need to keep in mind to the extent that we want to make it a reflex. Whenever we start STATA, and I should need to make sure that I'm doing this. So what I'll do is, I will start a log file. So how do we do that? So again, let me just complete that. There are a couple of buttons here as well: data editor, data viewer, browse. We have the variables manager. So what I'll do is, we click on the log file, right? So that takes you to this section, and what I'll do is, I'll just let me just correct this. Yeah, so if you open the log file and then you want to choose the destination that you want to save your log file, and then you can see that there are two options of saving your log file. One is the SMCL format. The SMCL format is essentially a format which saves your log file in a format that is easily readable by STATA, but is not readable by other softwares. I'll tell you I'll explain them to you, but I'll suggest save them in format and log, which is the SMCL format, as opposed to the log. Let me just show you both these. So let me save it in log format first. So I'll be saving it in log format, and then it tells you log using, then it tells you the destination where you saved. You saved it as untitled. Another thing is, do not save your log files as untitled. What you can save them is as log file, or if there's any particular analysis that you're doing, you can use that analysis, short of that analysis, as your file. Do not save it as untitled, or do not save it as your own name, because when you're doing a lot of work, that file name doesn't make sense. Make a name that is easy to identify. So you can see this is the log file, and if you open it, you get a text format. It's the notepad file. So this is what you get if you save it in log file. Now let me show you what happens if I save it in so again, you can't save one file and two log folders. So you might want to do is close the log file. Okay, so you closed the log file. Log files, sort of think of it as a register, a class register. Whenever you start the class, you open the register, you write down everything that you're doing in that particular class, and then you close the register before you leave the classroom, right? So log is sort of like that. It's literally a log of everything that you're doing. So you can't have two copies of something. You have to write, for everything that you do, you can't write it in two different copies, right? So you have to make only one log file. So let's see what happens if I save it in log SMCL format. So again, this time I'm going to make a proper file name, so log file, and I'm saving it in .smcl format. Let's save it and see what happens. So again, now I see everything that I do here. I type the commands here. Essentially, you can either type the commands here, or you can use the buttons that you have here, and the commands will show up here and the results will show up here. If you choose the SMCL saving, then what happens is you get this file. See, this is a txt file, but this is an SMCL file, and if you open this, then you'll have to open it using STATA. Let's see if I can open it using STATA. It doesn't work. Let me check. It's not working. Okay, so let's see. open, let me try using here. If I open SMCL format, yeah, I have that. Yeah, see, this is what you get when you get a SMCL log file. So as you actually saw, it's difficult to navigate through the SMCL files as opposed to the log files, because the SMCL file is exclusively read by STATA, and then you'll have to open STATA and then you'll have to open it from there. But this is actually a more secure way because it cannot get edited. TXT files can get edited by mistake. So you can see that the log file was opened on 16 December. This is the time, and then no changes were made. And then, so essentially, I would suggest use SMCL format. So then this is something that you do. I'm going to delete this because I don't need this. I'm going to stick with this log file, the SMCL file. So as you can see, these are the areas where your commands show up. This is the results section, and this is the variable section. Now what I'm going to do is, remember I downloaded some data from the data bank, World Bank, right? I had this data set, and what I want to do is I want to run a STATA analysis on this data set. It's an extremely small data set. Running analysis on this data set actually doesn't mean anything because this is too small to give you reliable conclusions, but I'm just doing it for the sake of explaining it to you. If you want, and if you want a detailed version, then do write them down in the comment section below that you want a detailed version and you want me to run an analysis on a larger data set, then I'll do that same for you. But the exercise remains the same. It's just that the results are not going to be reliable. So I have this data set here, and what I want to do is I want to export that data set and import it into the STATA file. This is how I do it. So there's this button, data editor edit. There are two buttons here, data editor edit and data editor browse. The data editor edit allows you to edit the data per name, and the browse allows you to just see the data. So whenever I have my data, I try to open this browse. That way I am not scared that I'll edit my data by mistake. So now I want to open the data editor thing, and that takes me to a blank page which has no data, very obviously, because I just opened this data. And I'm going to take this thing, and the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this section. So I'm going to select it and copy it, and then I'm going to paste it. Let's see, where's the paste special option? So I can't find the paste special option. Let's see, transpose, right? So I'm going to transpose everything. Now the reason for transposing is STATA will not take the data set like this. STATA will take the data set like this. So you have the series name, Gini index, age dependency ratio, maternal mortality rate. So you have to make sure that the variable names are at the top row and you have the data subsequently. So series name, I have to change that to year because series name doesn't make sense. Series name was actually corresponding to this, which was back then a column. So this is the year, this is the Gini index, and you can see the data, new data set. Okay, just a quick reminder, we are going to do everything in the formatted file and not in the original file. We're going to leave the original file as much untouched as possible because that is our original file. So I'm going to select this, copy all of this. I'm going to go to the data editor from STATA, and I'm going to paste all of that here. So a dialog box opens up. The first row of the clipboard contains values that can be used as valid variable names. What they mean by that is this particular row, STATA sees that these can be used as variable names. 2015 cannot be a variable name. 34.7 cannot be a variable name. But year and Gini index can be a variable name. So they just want to clarify if they want me to make this the variable name or not. So it's a valid argument. What I'm going to say is yes. Do you want to treat the first row as variable names or data? I want to treat the first row as variable names. Then you can see STATA changed or adjusted everything based on what you said. So you have the data set. Then you can close it. And if you go to the STATA file, you can see it says view log file. So this was because I opened the log file. So that is why they said that I viewed, quote unquote, viewed the log file. So even if you see the log file reports that you saw the log file. Then 5 variable 6 observations pasted into data editor. This section tells me that I opened the data set and I opened the imported the data set into this particular stata file, and then you can start with your analysis. So again, in a subsequent video, I'll tell you how to edit the data set in stata again. You can do it back in the Excel file as well, but I try to keep it in the stata file because I try to save as much of the original data as possible in the Excel file. That way, if I find there's any discrepancy in the data set that I have in the stata folder, stata file, the data set, then I can go back to the Excel file and cross check, because my Excel file is a very basic unformatted data set.